At least 4 tornadoes reportedly wreaked havoc on western and central Kentucky late Friday night, and Governor Andy Beshear confirmed at least 70 deaths, but said that could well rise to over 100 deaths.
This is Kentucky's most devastating tornado event in our history. We have lost far too many of our brothers and sisters.
One twister stayed on the ground for 227 miles and will likely eclipse the record for longest tornado track, which was set in 1925. 2 other tornadoes were tracked south of MayField, and there was one to the north. Several buildings collapsed in the southwestern community of MayField, and the damage was evident in Bowling Green as well. The same line of storms caused damage all the way from St. Louis across the state of Illinois. For the next few days, we decided to follow some of our contracting friends as they helped these communities recover from these devastating storms. Be sure to join us for this multi-part series. All right, so we are heading down to MayField, Kentucky now. So MayField is where the most damage occurred, probably the most devastating damage. That entire town was demolished. We spent the first episode that you guys followed us on, we were in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So today we're driving to MayField. We're going to spend some time with TW Mock's team. I think Andre is there and a few other guys, and we're going to see what's going on over there and how they're responding to an area like MayField where it's a lot more devastation versus like Bowling Green where there was still a lot of devastation, but not to that extent. So I'm curious to see how bad it is in MayField, and as this process progresses, they move into different stages of the recovery process. And so this is more of a stage 2 now, from the initial stage 1, which was more search and rescue. Now they're moving into another stage. So I'm curious to see how that works out. We'll see what we come up with today. The damage in MayField was, to say the least, catastrophic. The damage was widespread and stretched block after block, and debris littered the town. The trees were bare, and many of the homes and businesses were just piles of rubble. The local residents have spent the last few days in shock and are now trying to piece together their lives. In other parts of town, homes that were severely damaged but not destroyed still had residents living in them, as they have nowhere else to go. So what are you guys going to do today? Do the same thing, just assess, spend some time spending on the ground with these guys? You've looked at some buildings?
Yeah, we've gone through, met some of the adjusters on site and stuff like that. Kind of walked through just to kind of assess, where the major path was for the town, where the township was, and what resources they need, and what those properties were going to need. Like we said, before, everybody's in shock, so they don't understand that, hey, this might be a life safety issue. You don't need to be walking through and looking for your third grade project that your kid gave you. You need to kind of, let's move out and let's assess the situation, make sure it's safe, and then start figuring out what we need to do next to actuate on it.
The first act is seriously, it's loss of life. It's just simply getting people reorganized and understanding. Sure, we mobilized, a lot of these guys mobilized in Saturday night, following the storm. We were on the ground Sunday. So, you just get your bearings and see who needs what. Right? Everybody thinks we come in here and start making money, and it's not necessarily the avenue. Come in and just simply try to help the community. Turn around and look at that community, right? And you've got to be a heartless individual to come in here and just straight slaughter it,
yeah.
Right? So I think 84 people lost their lives in the city. And the city's 4,500 people. So everybody in this community's been touched by something. There's a time and a place for it. If they ask for your help, then give it to them. If they don't, then don't.
You got more storms coming or what?
No, thankfully. Well, there's going to be rain. I don't think they're going to severe weather, though.
Rain's no good either.
No, and it's going to get cold.
There were other contractors as well in town. and it seemed like they were focused on cleanup and tarping. They were trying to protect the properties and mitigate as much further damage as possible, as there was rain in the forecast. But the reality is, many of these buildings are going to have to be torn down. There's no saving them. It's just protecting what's left and maybe salvaging something. But in all reality, for many of these businesses and buildings and homes, there's probably not much left to salvage. After leaving Paul and TW, we drove around MayField some more, made some more connections, and tried to piece together what was really happening in the town and observe as people were frantically trying to save what they could. Media was everywhere. It was pretty much one of those situations where you feel helpless because there's not much that you can do. So this morning we're gonna go meet up with Paul Reed, look at a property here closer to the to where the tornado went through Bowling Green, Kentucky. See what his team is doing here on the ground. So let's go back to work.
So out here in Bowling Green, Kentucky today. So one of our models that we do is we come in and we're generally very intentional with, like, when we come into a town, you know, across the country of what we're trying to do. With that being said, we always focus on, you know, larger jobs, multifamily, you know, HOAs, and we come in and really kind of offer our service and our evaluation. So today we got here working with this property. I believe there's, I'm not sure how many buildings, 13, 18 buildings, something like that. What we'll do is come up here, evaluate the roof, evaluate the siding, you know, windows, things like that, and really kind of build a report, a damage report of really what's going on out here, provide that back with them, you know, and what we do is we kind of always let them know we're doing this at our cost, no obligation to you, besides one thing, which is we want the opportunity to sit down with you and review this report that we're going to put together. And at that point, if there's something that we could do to help out, then, you know, obviously we're going to ask for that business. But today's goal is just to really get out here, evaluate this storm damage, and see, you know, what they need done, give them a fair, comprehensive report.
We decided to go back into some of the areas we were in during our first part of the series. It was a little bit different this time. Now the roads were closed. It was a lot tougher to get in. The military was involved. There was local police on every corner, so we had to walk in. But we were able to get in and actually get to talk to some contractors that were in the area. So what are you guys trying to accomplish right now?
Mainly because of rain coming Thursday. We're trying to get as many houses tarped as possible, just to stop any further water damage.
Yeah, for sure.
We have a crew out here too that'll do chainsaw work, and we'll pick up general rubbish and that kind of stuff. But mainly is protect property.
Just to protect property. That's your guys' mission.
Yeah. If we can stop any further damage from happening to their, you know, stuff inside their house, their possessions and stuff, that's the big thing. We went and looked at some areas and they were just totally flat. And we won't go there. I mean, we have in the past.
MayField. We were in MayField yesterday and it was completely flat.
Yeah, they went to MayField Saturday morning and said, there really isn't anything for us to do here to help people. I mean, it just needs to be bulldozed and started over. It's sad. But
It's very sad.
Yeah. And sometimes when there's people missing, they'll not want us in there
right because they're doing search and rescue.
Yeah. And why don't you go down here to areas that aren't quite as bad? So we'll move back and forth depending.
That's cool. It seems like it's a coordinated effort. I think a lot of contractors especially come out to stuff like this and they want to start building and doing stuff, and it's not the time for that.
Well, our main mission is really to support the people here spiritually too. So a lot of times homeowners just need to tell their story and be thankful that, you know, hey, I'm alive, that kind of stuff. And so one of the things we try to hit on is the fact that, hey, you know, we can't control Mother Nature, but being a Christian organization, God sent us in here to help you out on your worst day.
Right.
And so we try to meet their needs, you know, spiritually also, not just physically, but give them someone to talk to. Sometimes they just need to vent, you know, and they need some shoulders to cry on. And so we have chaplains in our group and stuff like that that'll walk around. And we try to get a lot of the people who might be forgotten, you know, because they don't have insurance, or their insurance is going to take a while to get. And we don't usually do too much in the way of rental properties or commercial. It's usually all private property.
All residential,
All
private
residential,
properties.
yeah.
So what we've been able to learn is that contractors like Paul and TW that are dealing with large loss projects, and even some of the small loss projects, really all the structures that are severely damaged, it's a wait and see kind of game. Protect what you can, but ultimately we're just trying to wait, assess, and then get the next expert involved, because it's about experts and making sure that these property owners are getting what they deserve at the end of the day. They've already experienced a catastrophic loss. We can't make it worse for them. We definitely don't want to add in the loss of life or people getting hurt on the properties, so they have to be attended to the right way, and it requires patience and understanding and education. And that's what we find that these contractors are doing during this time. They're really just educating. They're not rebuilding yet. And so we're gonna let them do what they do. They're gonna continue to educate the area, and we're gonna come back and see what the next step of this process really looks like. But for now, it's a waiting game. We have to wait for the proper people to be put into place, the experts to come in, and for the properties to be assessed the right way, so that there's a plan of action moving forward that makes sense and is organized. Where we find that a lot of property owners really miss the mark is they rush to try to rebuild when they should be slowing the process down a little bit, assessing, and then taking the appropriate steps to move forward. We hope that that happens. We're thankful for contractors like TW and Paul that understand this process and are helping these policyholders out. And we're so thankful too for C3 Group, for Matt and his team that are out there helping those policyholders as well. Thanks for watching this episode and this part of our multi-part series. Stay tuned as we continue this journey that helps contractors understand better this process.